Alrighty guys, so here we are, Dease Lake, early in the morning again, eh? Well, anyways guys, see here, Alaska Highway Stewart and Telegraph Creek, the junction to Telegraph Creek down there. We're not doing that this time. Good thing we're not too. It rained pretty heavy last night, and Telegraph Creek's a wood trail, so it's going to be all muddy. It's 0 degrees too, so it'd be icy up top there on the canyon, Telegraph Creek Road. So I don't really want to do that. So yeah, we're not going to do it. So we're going to go to Stewart instead. We got some stops on the way. Bopquin Lake, Bell 2, a whole bunch of different things. The Collins Overland Telegraph Line, Eskay Creek, Gold Rush in the 80s there, 89. We're at Dease Lake, just across the way from Laketon there. Laketon was a town back in the day, an old gold rush town. And then at the top of the lake is Porter Landing, Thibert Creek, Dease Creek up over there. Defoe Creek is up over that way. So this is the Cassiar, still no lines painted on it. The lineless highway. So we're about to cross the Stikine River crossing. Over the Stikine River, Gold Rush, Telegraph Creek, Buck's Bar, Buck Choquette, 1861, 1860s. Stikine Gold Rush from the Stikine. Kind of like Liard bars, as well as Fraser River bars. Painting the bars of the Stikine guys. Stikine River Gold Rush, 1860. So Buck Choquette, he was the founder of the discovery claim, right? And then it set in a big rush, and it was a precursor to the Cassiar rush, you know, McDame Creek, Thibert, Dease Creek, and all that. But Telegraph Creek was a traveling town, right, on the all red route. We were looking at the routes into the Yukon, so you've got Skagway, Dease, Chilkoot, or you had White Pass, either by foot or by rail. And those are the American routes. That's how the Americans got to the Klondike. For the Canadians, how the Canadians got to the Klondike was different. Like, some of them did that, but it wouldn't really make sense. You do the all red route. And there was a couple of various different routes, but the Stikine, going up the Stikine River, so you'd leave Vancouver, right? You take a boat, it'd take you up to Wrangell, Alaska. And then when you're in Wrangell, Alaska, you'd go to the mouth of the Stikine River. And then Billy Moore there, the Flying Dutchman, William Moore as well, as he's also known, he'd take you up the Stikine. Usually you'd have to pull yourself up the river with cables, depending on which way you're going. Very, very, very treacherous river, guys, the Stikine River. Completely unfettered. One of the last wild rivers in BC. It hasn't been dammed. It's had very little human interference. Trying to kayak the Stikine, some of the canyons you can run, but other canyons you can't. And there's just some parts of it that are absolutely like nobody in their right mind would run it, right? So it's a whole thing. So we're going to cross over the Stikine River. We're coming down the plateau. We've got the switchbacks coming up. And then once we do that, we'll cross over the Stikine River. We're in the Stikine country. Stikine is very nice. We've been driving through the Golden Triangle. It was initially one size, but they've expanded it since. So we are driving the Golden Triangle, right? We got Atlin, Dease Lake, and Stewart. These are the points of the big triangle. Stikine River. Just coming up to 40 Mile Flats. We're going to pass through Scoot, Tatooga too. Little lake in between two lakes. We just came down the Stikine Canyon. So we've crossed over the other side of the Stikine now. So we're southbound on Highway 37, Stewart Cassiar Highway to Stewart. But we'll be coming up on Eskay Creek. Lots of gold near here, man. Oh, the Scoot River. So the Scoot River cones as well. We're entering a region of considerable volcanism. The Northwest BC Volcanic Province is huge, guys, but it's a weird one. Subduction volcanism occurs down south, but up here there's a fault on the Queen Charlotte that runs north-south, and that fault line is what causes the volcanoes here. So we got a lot of shield volcanoes. So if you've seen my other video, there's stratovolcanoes, shield volcanoes, cinder cones, which we will also see, and lava domes, right? Those are the four main types. Out here, up in the northern volcanic province of BC, It's a lot of shield volcanoes because that fault along the Queen Charlotte's there going up towards Alaska, it causes continental rifting. So the plates kind of, they open up a little bit, they pull apart from each other, as opposed to subduction where one is pushed underneath another and causes burning off of material, which then creates a volcano. That's not happening here. What's happening here is the continent is rifting apart due to that continental rift, and it's pulling them apart, which is causing the lava to come up through in like a shield volcano. So you'll see a lot of the volcanoes in this area, they're a very different shape, and they're kind of an odd shape to the volcanoes you see down south. But when we come through Eskay, the Eskay River cones, cinder cones there on the Eskay River, there's a whole series of cinder cones. As well, Tatooga Provincial Park. Tuyas, guys, are subglacial volcano formations. And all throughout northern BC, there's quite a substantial amount of Tuyas and shield volcanoes. Some quite interesting ones. So we're going to see if we can see any on our way, as well as Eskay Creek Gold Rush. Stewart's got gold. Lots of gold, guys. Sasquatch Prospector, we're on the road. So it's going good, guys.
Alrighty guys, so we are in Tatooga. It means small lake between two big lakes. Was that jade there? That looks like some jade. Cassiar mountain jade there. Nice looking rocks, man. Real nice looking rock. Machinery. This is this old Tatooga fire engine. Just outside of Eskay, between Eskay and Bobcotton Lake, Tatooga. It's nice here, guys. Tahltan First Nations. Yeah, this is Tahltan territory. Alrighty guys, here we are, Bobcotton Lake Airport. This airstrip was built in 1990 by the province of British Columbia to ensure Canadian access to the mineral boundary of the Stikine Unik Iskut region. Eskay Creek Gold Rush, guys, 89. In the 80s there, they discovered Eskay Creek, so then they wanted to open this area up. That's why the Cassiar got a good treatment here. Yukon Telegraph line. Within the regional district, the Yukon Telegraph Trail Heritage Site consists of 500-kilometer long from Morristown near Hazelton to the village of Telegraph Creek. The trail, overgrown in many places, contains the remains of telegraph, cabins, wire, and other artifacts related to the Dominion Yukon Telegraph line. Closely following the route of the failed 1860s Collins Overland Trail, the Yukon Telegraph line was constructed between 1899 and 1901 by the Dominion Government of Canada to provide communication to the Yukon. In part as a result of the Klondike Gold Rush, the line originated near Ashcroft, BC and extended to Dawson City, Yukon. Operating from 1901 to 1936, much of the line was serviced by a trail. Telegraph linesmen used the trail to maintain the telegraph line, but it was also used by packers, trappers, prospectors, and other wilderness travelers. The linemen for the telegraph service lived in small wilderness cabins along the line north of Hazelton. The telegraph stations were identified as cabins 1 through 9, followed by stations at Echo Lake, 25 Mile, and Eskay River. Telegraph stations were generally spaced about 25 to 40 kilometers apart, with small refuge cabins in between as a source of shelter for the linemen on patrol. Each station was staffed by 2 men who were often required to live for extended periods of time, 1 to 2 years, in the wilderness. Winter was often the most difficult season for the linemen. Short days, heavy snow, avalanches were routine challenges to keep the lines of communication open. In February 1934, Echo Lake lineman John Sutherland reported a snowstorm starting January 24th. For the next 25 days, Sutherland reported the efforts of himself and other linemen to repair the line. Others who traveled the Yukon Telegraph Trail were often ill-prepared for the wilderness, and the linemen were often called upon to assist. Today, much of Highway 37 parallels the route of the Yukon Telegraph trail from Belle to Eastman Creek. And then here you go, see this telegraph Ashcroft, Smithers, Hazelton. Goes all the way up. Bell to Bob Quinn Lake, and then cuts over to Telegraph Creek. They initially tried to build the Collins Overland Telegraph line in 1869, but it was failed because they got beat by the Atlantic Telegraph. So it laid dormant for a while, but then when the Yukon Gold Rush happened, they see a need for it again to put the telegraph up to Dawson instead of across the Bering Sea to Russia there, because they wanted an international communication line in the 1860s, but they got beat out by the Atlantic one. So here we go, guys. Cassiar, Highway 37, on the way to Stewart. Road lines are painted now, which is nice. Once you get past Dease Lake, there's no painted lines on the roads, so just be wary of that.
Just leaving Bob Quinn Lake, that's the airport there, used for mining. So we're right in the heart of the Golden Triangle now, guys. So that airstrip and a number of other airstrips would be used for transporting people, supplies, material, right to mines, lots of flying. Most of the mines in the Golden Triangle have no road access, like at all. There's very few mines out here have road access. So the biggest thing is flying, right? That's how they get around. So that was Bob Quinn Lake Airport. Bob Quinn Lake. It's basically now it's just a highway maintenance camp. There's actually nothing in Bob Quinn Lake. And stepping off into the Golden Triangle and right on the Cassiar Highway 37 here, heading towards Stewart. Just about to come into Mesiadin Junction here, 37A for Stewart. Weather's changed now. It's raining, as usual for this region. To be expected. We're heading into the rainforest again, guys. So we've got a hill to go down to. We're a hill to go down, and then we should be at Mesiadin Junction, and then it's to Stewart there, guys. Alrighty, so here we are, Mesiadin Junction, guys. We are Stewart 37A open. Terrace, Kidwonga, Prince George. So this is what screwed us up last time. We had to turn around here. There was a forest fire and we couldn't go up the Cassiar Highway, but we completed the Cassiar now. So we're gonna go to Stewart. This is our kind of completes our mining town tour here. So we did Atlin, Skagway, and Stewart, guys.
Here we are, guys. So we're just standing at the Bear Glacier here. Lookout. You got to do the Bear Glacier lookout when you come to Stewart. That's like one of the things you got to do here. So nice. Gorgeous. Clouds hanging low in the valley now.
Everybody, Stewart BC. We got the King Eddie over there, the famous King Eddie. Ian McLeod's baby there. Ripley Creek Inn. So this is downtown Stewart, guys. Great little town, Stewart. I love Stewart. Hardworking, quiet town of hardworking people live here, man. It's a nice little town. It's cute. We got the grocery store there. So we're gonna do a cool thing. We're gonna go to Alaska, guys. We did this last time. We went up the Salmon Glacier. So if you haven't seen my video on the Salmon Glacier, make sure you check that out. Really cool. We drove up past the Premier Mine, through the gold fields, and Ian McLeod Park there. So Ian McLeod was the Stewart historian, mayor of Stewart for many years there. Ian did a really good job of preserving the history, so thank you, Ian McLeod, for that. Although he died a long time ago, I believe. Keeping her alive, right? That's what I'm doing, guys. You gotta pass the torch on eventually. It's the weirdest border crossing in the state, in America, guys. There's no Americans here. You're not required to go through customs. You have to go through Canadian customs on the way back, though. There's only one customs agency at this border crossing, and it happens to be the Canadians. The southeastern most accessible part of Alaska by road. Interesting thing about Hyder, guys, is that it's only accessible by road from BC. So similar to how Atlan, BC is only accessible by road from the Yukon, well, Hyder is only accessible from road by BC. So it's a thing in North America, these weird little quirky border crossings. Here, we are actually leaving the country. We will officially be in Alaska, guys. And Hyder, Alaska gets all of their stuff from Stewart, guys. Like, Alaska State Troopers occasionally patrol the town. This is the port, deep water port. Stewart has a deep water port. They use it for unloading ore and stuff, so gold and all the stuff that comes from the mines, guys. It gets shipped out here and then sent down to further down south there where they can make stuff happen with it. So this is the Canadian border guards here. And the border crossing closes at 4:30, guys. Then you got to do a teleconference. Border crossing. Here we go. Welcome to Hyder, Alaska, everybody. We're officially in America now. 20 miles an hour. So we're just going to walk around Hyder, guys, and see what we can see.
Welcome to Hyder, Alaska. Canal Trading Post, Hyder, Alaska. Then they got this little mining cart. Get Hyderized. Originated at the Glacier Inn. Then there's this little cart there. Fudge. This old house here. A store of some sort. St. Paul's Orthodox Church. But yeah, guys, this is Hyder. Small little town. 60, 70 people here probably. That's basically the end. That's the border crossing there. Good old gold, eh? Gold, jade, furs, US mail drop. But this is basically Hyder, guys. This is it.
This is the most southeast part that's road accessible by Alaska. There's more southern parts that you can fly to in Alaska, but they're not road accessible, right? The Aleutians probably would be one, I would say. So everything's closed for the season though. Premier seafood. You got to be really careful here, guys, because there's grizzly bears on the road sometimes. So you can hit a grizzly bear by accident if you're not careful. You'll transition back to BC at some point when you get to the Premier Mine. Hyder was a big silver mining community. There was a whole bunch of silver mines on the American side. And so that was around the 1920s there. That was kind of Hyder's big thing. And they got a big influx of people, I believe 250 people, but there's never been a lot of people in Hyder, right? It's always been a very small place. Right on the panhandle, guys. Right at the edge of the southeastern panhandle here in Alaska. They're very, very intimately linked, Hyder, with the Canadians and Stewart. I was talking to a lady there. She was saying that everything that the people from Hyder get comes from Stewart, right? So you get your food, your groceries, your lumber, your booze, you know, all that stuff. They get all that stuff in Stewart and then go back across the border, right? There's nothing in Hyder for supplies. There's that little gift shop, Boundary Gifts, which you should check out, by the way, if you ever in Hyder. The super nice store, lots of cool stuff there. But they rely on Stewart for a lot of things. Even the power, Tom Gas Light and Power Company, they lease their power from BC Hydro, and then they have like their own company that deals with them.
Alrighty, guys, so we just walked across the border. I cleared the border, but I'm walking across it again. I got permission for that. Let's just walk back. So, welcome to Hyder, Alaska. Town limits, and then saving a historic town. Storehouse number 4 is on the National Register of Historic Places. Built in 1896 by the Army Corps of Engineers, the sturdy rubble masonry structure survived the harsh southeast climate, although many of its wooden components were replaced as they weathered away. Today the building is cared for by the Bureau of Land Management and is treasured as a National Historic Place. 96 Storehouse 4 was never used by the Army Corps of Engineers. Instead, it found itself the home to a variety of community uses over the years. This is the border. Canada on the one side. I'm still in Canada. Americans, don't worry. Right? You can see the Canadian side there. And then America. The American flag, and then that's Hyder. And then this is U.S. property, so you can't touch it. But super cool building, and yeah, that's Hyder, Alaska, guys.
That's all set.
Awesome, thank you so much. So we finished. It's back to kilometers now. Kilometers, liters, Canadian dollars, poutine. Stewart International Deepwater Port. We've done Hyder, Alaska.
All right, guys, so here we are. Stewart Silverado Cafe and Parlor. Good place to go get some food. So this is downtown Stewart, guys. Toastworks, the Kate Ryan building. Built in 1920 for the real Klondike Kate, Catherine Ryan was a beloved pioneer known for her courage and exceptional character. It's closed. 302nd 5th Avenue. Built in 1928 by Crawford and Transfer, used as a freight office for hay, coal, and mining supplies. Newspaper office, bus depot, specialty shop. Built in 1910, this was the Robert Stewart family summer house until 1945. Like Atlin and Skagway, they kept all their old buildings, guys. Everything's like it was back in the day, which is the way you would hope it should be. History of the highway. Telegraph Creek was the end point of stern-wheeler navigation on the Stikine River to assist the movement of goods and people. A 75-mile road was built in the 1920s from Telegraph Creek to Dease Lake. About 70 miles of road was constructed after World War II south from the Alaska Highway into the McDame placer gold region. Around the 1950s, asbestos was discovered in the Cassiar region, and within several years a major mine developed and town site of Cassiar founded. Until 1978, asbestos fiber was struck northward 360 miles, transferred to the White Pass and Yukon rail line, transported to the port of Skagway, Alaska, and then shipped to Vancouver. Road construction from South Cassiar began as early as 1953, but access to the port of Stewart not made until a section of road was finished in the Niguinsa Pass in 1972. An all-Canadian route was therefore developed for the movement of goods to and from Cassiar. Even though the Cassiar town site is abandoned and neither community is a terminal point of the highway, Highway 37 is often referred to as the Stewart-Cassiar Highway based on the economic connections. The single-lane wooden bridge built in 1972 over the Nass River just south of Mesiadin made a link between Highway 16 and the Stewart-Cassiar possible, but it is not until 1976 that the route was completed with the opening of a bridge across the Stikine River at Kitwanga. Even so, it would be another decade before the highway would be paved from Highway 16 to Stewart. In 1984, the BC government designated Kitimat the southern terminus of Highway 37, and the highway now covers over half length of British Columbia. So this is what we've been doing, guys. Highway 37 here. Highway 37 is one of British Columbia's most scenic and historic routes of travel before the traveler and ever-changing rugged wilderness unfolds. The first European incursions into this land began with the fur trade. As early as 1833, the Hudson's Bay Company had a post established at Dease Lake. In 1865, the Collins Overland Telegraph Company started construction of an intercontinental communications link with Europe via the Bering Strait. The project came to an abrupt conclusion when a competitor successfully laid the cable across the Atlantic, but the Telegraph Trail would be used for many years to come, and the region's mining history predates the Klondike Gold Rush. There were gold rushes on the Stikine River beginning in 1861 and the Cassiar region in the 1870s. In 1874, Laketon, at the mouth of Dease Creek, had a population estimated as high as 8,000. The province's largest gold nugget was reportedly found in placer deposits at Centerville on the Dease River. Laketon and Centerville are now ghost towns. During World War II, activity in parts of the region again was hectic. Following one of the most popular gold rush routes into the northwest, many tons of supplies were ferried up the Stikine River, trucked overland on tortuous route to Dease Lake, then placed on riverboats to travel north along the Dease and Liard rivers to Watson Lake. The supplies were for construction of an aerodrome at Watson Lake. The airport was part of the Northwest Staging Route, a series of airports that would ultimately connect Edmonton, Alberta with Fairbanks, Alaska for supply to the USSR. And then look, guys, Atlin, this is where we were. This is the Alaska Highway. This is, you drive through the Cassiar range here. This is the Cassiar Mountains, Rancheria, Swift River. So we drove through the Cassiar Mountains on the Alaska Highway. Junction 37, and then we hit Junction 37. Good Hope Lake, Boyle Lake, Centerville, McDame, Cassiar, Jade Cities, this is all right in here, guys. Laketon, right here. Dease River, Dease Creek, Thyber Creek, Defoe's over here. And then you continue down Iskoot, Tatooga, Mount Ediziza Provincial Park. That's the volcanoes I was talking about. Bob Quinn, Bell 2, Meziadin, Stewart. So, and then this is the last section that we've got to do of the 37, guys, right here. Stewart and Hyder are located at the head of the Portland Canal, a narrow 145 kilometer, 90 mile long fjord. The fjord forms a natural boundary between Canada and the United States. Stewart prides itself on being Canada's most northerly ice-free port. The Nisga'a native peoples of the Nass River Valley called the place Skam a Kunst, or safe place. The head of the Portland Canal was explored in 1896 by Captain D.D. Gillard for the Army Corps of Engineers. Mineral prospecting and settlement soon followed, and by 1905 the new community was officially named Stewart, the family name of American brothers who arrived 3 years earlier. First called Portland City, Hyder was named after the Canadian mining engineer Frederick Hyder. Gold and silver mining caused a rapid growth in the early part of the century. Perhaps as many as 10,000 people lived in the area prior to World War I. For many years, Stewart was an important stopping point for steamships serving the West Coast. With the construction of Highway 37, Stewart has become an important port for Northwest British Columbia. Mining, forestry, transportation are all mainstays of the economy today. And then you can see, guys, Hyder here, Stewart here, and then the port here, right? Stewart's port is here. Stewart and Hyder go together, guys. They're not separated. They're intimately linked together as a community. Morning here in the fjords of Stewart, British Columbia. Just doing our little walk around like we do with these towns. We did Atlin, we did Skagway. So they're very similar. It's got that vibe, you know, that old mountain town, frontier town mining vibe, right? That you don't see in a lot of places anymore. Not much is open, guys, when you come here and this year, late in the season here, there's not much here. So just be mindful of that. Like, this cafe is only open from 4 till 8, right, for dinner. So just be aware. Bitter Creek Bar and Lounge. Hotel Bayview. Built as the Bayview Hotel in 1925 by the Repach brothers of Yugoslavia. Restored in 1994 to use as a restaurant. The Bayview, guys. It's a great little old hotel. Stewart Main Street. 1910s to 1930s.
Alrighty, guys, so we just passed the Bear Glacier on the Highway 37A here, heading back to Meziadin Junction. And then we're going to meet with the 37, Stewart Cassiar Highway 37. And then we're going to head south to the Yellowhead. And then once we beat the Yellowhead, that's it. That's it for the Cassiar, guys. We'll have completed the Alaska Highway, Cassiar Highway, parts of the South Klondike Highway, or Klondike Highway. Once we get on the Yellowhead, we're kind of riding the border between North and South BC here, so. Alaska Highway this way. We're not going that way though, unfortunately, anymore. We finished our Alaska Highway driving.
Alrighty, guys, so we're just at the junction here. All these truckers parked for breakfast here. It's So, Highway 16 West. Here we go, guys. North to Alaska. Bear Glacier, Stewart, Hyder. So we got the one at the junction, right? Junction 37 up in the Yukon. And now we're getting this one. And then there you go, guys. That's the beginning. That's where it all starts. For us, that's where it ends. But for a lot of people, this is where the journey starts. Great Northern BC. From here, guys, we're going to skirt along the border of northern and southern BC. And then we're heading back into the south. Oh, sad, man. Sad time. I just love the north, man. There's so much up here. So yeah, guys, here we were. All the way up here. And we went Boya Lake, Good Hope Lake, Jade City, Dease Lake, Iskoot, Tatooga, Bob Quinn Lake, Bell 2, Meziadin, Stewart and Hyder, Kitwanga. This is where we came last year. We came up to Rupert. We drove all the way, and then we drove the 113, and then we took the Forest Service road over. Yeah, guys, here we are. Highway 37 junction, kilometer 0, or for us, 720 something, I think, is how long it is. So it's been good, guys. It's been really good. It's sad. It's always sad to have these roads end, especially because they just got so much character, and you know, it's really cool. So it was a really cool experience. So I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell icon to get notified. Let me know your stories, guys. Up to Alaska, Yukon, Telegraph Creek. You know, don't be afraid to share. And I hope you enjoyed it. Sasquatch Prospector out.